Eden Charles was 29 years old when she finally understood that some wounds do not come from enemies. They come from the people who promise to love you forever. 11 years earlier, just 3 days before her 18th birthday, her family canceled the celebration she had dreamed about. Her older sister Olive cried and said the party made her feel forgotten. Eden waited for someone to defend her, but nobody did. That night, she packed 2 small bags, took a coffee tin containing $1,300 she had saved from working, and walked away from the only home she had ever known. She did not leave because she hated her family. She left because she was tired of disappearing inside it. Eden grew up in a house where the person who suffered the loudest always received the most attention. Her family moved around Olive's emotions like doctors responding to an emergency. When Eden was 7, she had a school performance she had practiced for weeks. She searched the audience for her parents, but their seats were empty. Earlier that day, Olive had complained about feeling sick. Her mother stayed home with her. When Eden returned, her mother hugged her and said, "I'm sure you did wonderful." But she never asked how the performance went. Eden learned a painful lesson that day. In her family, being strong meant nobody worried about you. Being quiet meant your needs could easily be forgotten. As Eden grew older, the pattern continued. When she saved money for a pair of white shoes at 12, Olive complained that her own shoes were uncomfortable. Soon, Eden's shoes became family shoes. When teachers praised Eden's achievements, her mother quickly changed the conversation back to Olive's struggles. Eden never believed she was unloved, but she often felt unseen. Her parents provided everything she needed, but emotional attention always seemed reserved for her sister. The only person who noticed was her father, Justin. He would look at Eden after difficult family moments with sadness in his eyes. He knew something was wrong, but knowing and changing things were 2 different matters. When Eden was 15, Justin found her working in her grandmother Ophelia's garden. She was pulling weeds and caring for flowers she had planted herself. He watched her quietly before speaking. "Eden, when you turn 18, that day belongs to you," he said. She looked up and smiled. "Really?" she asked. Justin nodded. "No distractions. No family problems. Just you." Eden believed him. That promise became something she carried for 3 years. Whenever she felt ignored, she reminded herself that her 18th birthday would be different. She imagined her family sitting together, celebrating her, and finally seeing her for who she truly was. Olive was not always cruel. Eden would later understand that her sister had been shaped by the way their family treated her. Every mistake Olive made became someone else's responsibility. Every failure became another reason to protect her. At 21, Olive had already left 2 college programs. Each time, she returned home with a new crisis. Their mother always defended her. "Olive just needs more support," she would say. Nobody called it giving up. Nobody asked why she kept running away from challenges. Eden watched everything quietly. She saw how Olive became dependent on being rescued, while Eden became dependent on needing nothing. They were both trapped by the roles their family had created for them. Eden's only escape from feeling invisible was the greenhouse where she worked every weekend. At 14, she started helping Alice, a woman who owned a small plant nursery outside town. Alice was strict, honest, and never gave empty praise. "If you do good work, I'll tell you," Alice would say. "If you make mistakes, I'll tell you that too." Eden loved that honesty. At the greenhouse, nobody compared her to Olive. Nobody ignored her achievements. She was simply Eden, a young woman learning a skill. Every paycheck she earned went into her savings account. Slowly, she built a future with her own hands, believing that one day she would have a place that belonged only to her. By 17, Eden had saved nearly $9,400 from years of working at the greenhouse. She had a dream of creating her own flower farm someday. But there was one problem. The savings account was connected to her mother because Eden had been too young to open it alone. Several times, she asked her mother to help remove her name. "Mom, I'm almost 18. I need my own account," Eden said. Her mother always smiled and replied, "After your birthday, sweetheart. One thing at a time." She said it in March, then again in June, then again in August. Eden noticed the delays, but a small part of her still believed her mother would never betray her. 3 weeks before Eden's 18th birthday, Olive announced that she had been accepted into a special program in another city. She entered the kitchen holding a letter and looking excited. "This could change everything for me," Olive said. Their mother immediately hugged her. "I knew something good was coming for you." Eden smiled politely. "That's great, Olive." But Olive looked at her strangely. "You don't sound happy." Eden looked confused. "I am happy for you." Their mother quickly stepped in. "Your sister needs support right now." Eden said nothing. She already knew what that meant. The family's attention had shifted again, and somehow she knew her birthday was about to become less important. Olive's program required a large payment quickly. She told the family that if she missed the deadline, she would lose her chance. Their mother promised they would find a way. "This is Olive's future," she said. Eden listened quietly from the table. She watched how quickly everyone moved when Olive needed something. She wondered if anyone would ever move that quickly for her. 11 days later, Olive returned home after leaving the program. She arrived after midnight, crying and upset. The entire house changed immediately. Their mother rushed to comfort her. Justin sat silently with his coffee. Eden stood in the kitchen making toast while everyone focused on Olive. Her birthday was only days away, but nobody mentioned it. The night before Eden's birthday, she overheard her mother talking on the phone. She stopped in the hallway when she heard the words, "We have to do what is best for the family." Eden already knew what that meant. Her mother continued, "Eden has her whole life for celebrations." Eden walked back to her room and stared at the 15 invitations sitting on her desk. She had drawn small flowers on each one herself. They were supposed to represent a new beginning. The next morning, her mother entered with 2 cups of cocoa and sat beside her. "Sweetheart, about your birthday," she began. Eden looked at her quietly. "What about it?" Her mother sighed. "We think it would be better to postpone the party. Olive is going through a hard time." Eden felt her heart become completely still. "Mom," she asked softly, "when is my turn?" Her mother looked away and said, "Don't be dramatic, Eden. You've always been fine on your own." Justin appeared at the bedroom door after hearing the conversation. Eden looked at him, hoping he would finally keep the promise he made years ago. She wanted him to say, "No, Eden deserves her birthday." She wanted him to remind everyone that her dreams mattered too. But Justin stayed quiet. Before he could speak, Olive called from downstairs, her voice filled with sadness. Immediately, Eden's mother turned away and rushed to her. The moment disappeared. Later that day, the bakery called about Eden's birthday cake. "Hi, Eden. I'm calling to confirm the changes to your order," the woman said. Eden frowned. "What changes?" The woman paused. "The new message on the cake." Eden's heart dropped when she heard the words. "Welcome home, Olive." Eden held the phone tightly after the bakery worker explained everything. The cake she had chosen months earlier had been changed. Her name had been removed. Her birthday celebration had been turned into a welcome dinner for Olive. The guest list was almost the same. The chairs, the food, and even the cake were still being used. Only one thing had changed. The person being celebrated was no longer Eden. She sat on her bed staring at the invitations she had never sent. She did not scream. She did not cry. She simply understood. Her family had not forgotten her birthday. They had chosen someone else over her. For the first time, Eden stopped waiting for people to give her a place. She decided to create one herself. That evening, Eden opened her closet and took out 2 bags. She packed her work clothes, her boots, her school papers, and the small ribbon from her award. She reached behind her winter shoes and pulled out the coffee tin containing the money she had saved. Then she picked up her phone and called Alice. The call rang several times before Alice answered. "Eden, is everything okay?" Alice asked. Eden took a deep breath. "I need somewhere to stay." There was silence for a moment. Then Alice replied, The small room above the greenhouse is empty. Eden looked down. Are you sure? Alice sighed. It's not fancy. The heater makes strange noises, and the rent is $40. But it is yours if you want it. For the first time that night, Eden felt someone was giving her a choice. Eden walked downstairs carrying her bags. Her mother looked up from the kitchen table. At first, she seemed confused. Eden, what are you doing? Eden stood still. I'm leaving. Her mother's face changed from surprise to anger. Where exactly do you think you're going? Eden looked toward the door. Somewhere I can finally breathe. Her mother shook her head. Don't be dramatic. You're upset right now. Eden looked around the room where she had spent 18 years trying to be noticed. No, Mom. I'm tired. Olive sat quietly on the couch, watching everything. Justin stood near the hallway, looking like he wanted to say something. But once again, he remained silent. Eden opened the door and stepped outside. This time, nobody stopped her. And strangely, that hurt less than she expected. The walk to Alice's greenhouse took nearly an hour. The night air was cold, but Eden kept moving. She carried 2 bags and the weight of 18 years of disappointment. When she arrived, Alice was waiting by the entrance. She looked at Eden, then at the bags in her hands. You really did it, Alice said. Eden nodded. Yes. Alice opened the greenhouse door. Warm air and the smell of soil surrounded Eden. It was not a perfect home, but it felt peaceful. She climbed the small stairs to the room above the greenhouse and placed her bags beside the bed. Looking out the window, she saw rows of plants growing quietly in the darkness. For the first time in her life, Eden realized she was not leaving something behind. She was finally beginning something new. 3 days after leaving home, Eden turned 18. There was no big celebration. No family dinner. No decorated backyard. Instead, she sat in the greenhouse with Alice and a small cupcake from the local store. Alice placed 1 candle on top and pushed it toward her. Don't expect anything fancy, Alice said. I'm not good at birthdays. Eden smiled. You remembered. That is enough. Alice nodded. Make a wish anyway. Eden looked at the candle and thought carefully. She did not wish for her family to change. She did not wish for Olive to understand her. She wished for strength to build a life where she never had to beg for a place again. The next morning, Eden went to the bank to finally take control of her savings. She walked in confidently, ready to open her own account and move her money. The teller greeted her kindly and began checking the records. After a few moments, the woman's expression changed. Eden noticed immediately. Is something wrong? She asked. The teller hesitated before answering. The balance is not what you expected, is it? Eden felt nervous. How much is there? The teller looked at the screen. $912. Eden stared at her. She had saved almost $10,000 over 3 years. The teller explained that a withdrawal of $8,500 had been made weeks earlier. Eden already knew who had done it. Eden stepped outside the bank and sat on a bench. She stared at the street while everything finally made sense. Her mother's delays. The constant excuses. Olive's urgent program. The money had not disappeared. It had been used. Eden called her mother. Mom, did you withdraw money from my account? She asked. There was a long silence. Then her mother answered calmly. Eden, that money was needed. Eden closed her eyes. Needed by who? Her mother sighed. Olive needed a chance. Eden's voice became quiet. That was my money. Her mother responded, Family helps family. Eden looked down at her hands. You spent 3 years of my work on something Olive quit in 11 days. Her mother became defensive. You are young. You can earn it back. Those words hurt because they sounded exactly like everything she had heard before. Eden returned to the bank and closed the account. She took the remaining $912 and walked away. She expected anger, but what she felt was different. She felt clear. The money was gone, but she still had something nobody could take. She had her skills, her determination, and the ability to start again. When she returned to the greenhouse, Alice noticed her expression. "Bad news?" Alice asked. Eden nodded. "My savings are almost gone." Alice continued arranging plants. "Then you still have something important." Eden looked confused. "What?" Alice pointed toward the greenhouse. "Your hands. Your knowledge. Your ability to work." Eden looked at her hands and realized Alice was right. Money could disappear, but everything she had learned remained with her. Within days, Eden discovered that her family had already told everyone their version of what happened. Her aunt called and spoke with disappointment. "Eden, your mother says you left because you were angry about a birthday party." Eden took a deep breath. "That is not the whole story," her aunt replied. "Olive was struggling. You should have understood." Eden looked around the greenhouse. She had spent years understanding everyone else. Nobody had ever tried to understand her. "I did understand," Eden said softly. "That was the problem. I always understood everyone except myself." Her aunt told her she was making things harder for the family. Eden looked at the growing plants around her and answered, "Maybe the family needs to learn that I am a person too." After the call ended, Eden stopped explaining herself to people who refused to listen. She decided to let her actions speak. Eden's new life was not easy, but it was honest. Every morning, she woke before sunrise and worked alongside Alice at the greenhouse. She watered plants, prepared soil, and learned everything she could about growing flowers. Alice never treated her like a child. She treated her like someone capable. "Mistakes are part of growing," Alice told her one morning. "A plant that bends in the wind becomes stronger." Eden smiled because she knew Alice was not only talking about plants. She was talking about her. Slowly, Eden stopped thinking about what she had lost and started focusing on what she could build. The greenhouse became more than a workplace. It became the place where Eden discovered who she really was. During those months, Eden kept a notebook filled with ideas. She wrote about flowers she wanted to grow, designs for gardens, and plans for a future farm. She still dreamed of owning land someday. Alice noticed her dedication and encouraged her. "You don't just like flowers," Alice said. "You understand them." Eden laughed. "Flowers are easier than people." Alice smiled. "That might be true, but people can grow too." Eden was unsure about that. She had seen too many people refuse to change. Still, she continued working. She saved every dollar she could. She knew she had lost her old savings, but she refused to let that loss destroy her future. One Sunday afternoon, Eden received a visit from her grandmother Ophelia. The older woman arrived carrying a small wooden box. Eden immediately noticed how carefully she held it. "What is inside?" Eden asked. Ophelia smiled. "Something that has been waiting for the right person." Inside the box were old flower bulbs wrapped carefully in paper. Eden touched them gently. "What are these?" she asked. Ophelia looked toward the greenhouse fields. "Flowers my family has protected for generations." She explained that the flowers came from a special plant line that had been passed down through their family. "These need someone who will care for them," Ophelia said. "Someone who understands that good things take time." Eden looked at the bulbs and felt something she had not felt in a long time. Hope. As the months passed, Eden worked harder than ever. She took extra shifts at a small restaurant in the evenings while continuing at the greenhouse during the day. Some nights, she returned to her small room completely exhausted. But she never stopped planning. She studied gardening books, learned about different flowers, and wrote down every lesson Alice taught her. When people asked why she worked so much, Eden simply smiled. She was no longer working to prove something to her family. She was working because she believed in herself. Meanwhile, her family continued living without her. Ophelia occasionally shared small updates. Olive was struggling again, and Eden's parents were still trying to protect her from every consequence. Eden listened quietly but did not allow herself to be pulled back into the same cycle. When Thanksgiving arrived, Eden received a call from her mother. Her voice sounded unusually warm. "Sweetheart, we want you to come home," her mother said. Eden stayed silent for a moment. She knew kindness from her mother often came with conditions. "Why now?" Eden asked. Her mother sighed. "Because family should forgive." Eden listened as her mother explained that everyone missed her. Then came the requests. She needed to apologize to Olive. She needed to move back home. She needed to stop this gardening phase and focus on a normal future. Eden looked out the greenhouse window at the plants growing outside. "Mom," she said calmly, "this is my life now." Her mother replied, "You have always been stubborn." Eden smiled sadly. "No, Mom. I have just finally started choosing myself." She ended the call knowing she had made the right decision. Eden spent the winter building her future piece by piece. She knew she could not afford to waste time thinking about what her family had taken from her. Instead, she focused on every lesson Alice gave her. She learned how to prepare seeds, protect young plants, and understand the changing seasons. One morning, Alice walked with her across an empty piece of land behind the greenhouse. "What do you see?" Alice asked. Eden looked at the frozen ground. "Nothing yet." Alice smiled. "That is where you're wrong. A farmer sees what is coming, not just what is there." Those words stayed with Eden. She started seeing the empty land differently. She saw possibility. She saw a future. A few weeks later, Alice offered Eden an opportunity she never expected. She had 2 acres of unused land behind the greenhouse. "I want you to rent it," Alice said. Eden looked shocked. "Me?" Alice nodded. "You have been working like someone who already owns land. Now it is time to act like it." Eden worried about the money. She only had a small amount saved. But Alice gave her a fair agreement. Eden would pay gradually while working the land herself. She signed the papers with nervous hands. For the first time, something important was in her name alone. It was not borrowed. It was not shared. It belonged to her effort. When spring arrived, Eden planted her first flowers on the 2 acres. She carefully placed the special bulbs Ophelia had given her. She imagined the beautiful field they could become. But farming was not as simple as dreaming. A late frost arrived unexpectedly and destroyed many of her young plants. Eden walked through the damaged field at sunrise, staring at the brown leaves and broken stems. She felt defeated. "Maybe I was wrong," she whispered. Alice found her sitting in the field. She looked at the damage and then at Eden. "Do you know what frost is?" Alice asked. Eden shook her head. "A lesson," Alice answered. "Not a punishment." Eden wiped her eyes and stood up. She replanted. The second attempt was different. Eden stopped trying to rush nature. She followed the seasons carefully and used everything she had learned. She planted stronger flowers and protected the delicate ones. The field slowly changed. Green shoots appeared. Then leaves. Then colorful blooms. When Eden walked through the rows, she felt something she had never felt before. Pride. Not because everything was perfect, but because she had built it after losing almost everything. Alice watched her one afternoon and smiled. "You finally understand," she said. Eden looked confused. "Understand what?" Alice replied. "That you were never weak. You were just growing in a place that refused to let you bloom." By summer, Eden had enough flowers to sell at the local farmer's market. She borrowed a small table, created simple bouquets, and placed them carefully for customers to see. At first, she was nervous. She wondered if anyone would care about flowers from a young farmer they had never heard of. But within hours, people started stopping. "These are beautiful," one woman said. "Did you grow them yourself?" Eden smiled. "Yes." The woman bought 2 bouquets. By the end of the day, Eden had sold almost everything. She held the money in her hands and felt different. It was not a large amount, but every dollar came from her own land, her own work, and her own choices. For the first time, Eden knew she was not just surviving. She was creating a life. The success of Eden's flower stall spread quickly through the town. People began returning every weekend because they loved the quality of her flowers and the care she put into every arrangement. She started receiving small orders for birthdays and celebrations. One customer asked if she could create flowers for a wedding. Eden hesitated because she had never done anything that big before. Alice noticed her doubt. "You know what confidence is?" Alice asked. Eden shook her head. "Doing something before you feel ready." Eden accepted the job. She spent days preparing, learning new designs, and making sure every flower was perfect. When the wedding day arrived, guests admired the decorations. For the first time, Eden saw her dream becoming something real. The special flowers from Ophelia's garden became the center of Eden's farm. Their deep color and unique beauty attracted everyone who saw them. Ophelia visited the field one afternoon and stood quietly among the flowers. "Your grandfather would have loved seeing this," she said. Eden smiled. "I wish he could have." Ophelia touched one of the blooms gently. The beautiful thing about flowers is that they carry memories. Even when people are gone, what they planted can continue growing. Eden looked across the field and realized she was not just growing flowers. She was carrying forward something meaningful. She finally understood why Ophelia trusted her with those bulbs. By the end of the summer, Eden's small farm had become known around town. She created a simple wooden sign that read, "Eden's Blooms." Seeing her own name displayed proudly made her emotional. For years, she had been taught to step aside and let others shine. Now, her name was attached to something she created. Alice stood beside her as they looked at the sign. "Are you proud?" Alice asked. Eden nodded. "I am." Alice smiled. "Good. Never let anyone convince you that hiding is the same as being humble." Eden remembered all the years she had lowered her voice and accepted less. She promised herself she would never return to that life. The attention from the farm eventually reached Eden's family. People who once believed she had left because of a simple argument began seeing the truth through her success. They saw pictures of the flower fields. They heard stories about her hard work. They realized Eden had not destroyed her future by leaving. She had created one. Her mother called again after many months. "Eden, we saw the article about your farm," she said. Eden stayed quiet. Her mother continued, "We are proud of you." Eden looked at the flowers outside her window. She wanted to believe those words, but she remembered how many times she had heard promises before. "Thank you," she replied politely, but she did not rush back into old patterns. A few weeks later, Eden received a call from Ophelia about her upcoming 80th birthday. "I have made a decision," Ophelia said. Eden laughed. "That sounds serious." Her grandmother smiled. "It is. I want my birthday celebration in your flower field." Eden became quiet. She had imagined many things happening there, but never this. "Are you sure?" she asked. Ophelia answered confidently, "I have spent 80 years celebrating in places chosen by other people. This year, I want to celebrate somewhere honest." Eden looked across the field she had built from nothing. She knew her entire family would probably attend. She knew old wounds would return. But she also knew something important. This time, she would not be standing in the shadows. She would be standing in the life she created. 1 week before Ophelia's birthday celebration, Eden's mother called with a different tone. She sounded friendly, almost as if the past year had never happened. "Eden, we are all excited about the party," she said. Eden listened carefully. She had learned that kindness from her mother often came with hidden expectations. After a few minutes, her mother finally revealed what she wanted. "Since everyone will be there, we think it would be nice to show that the farm is a family achievement." Eden remained silent. Her mother continued, "Olive could help with events and planning. She has a good eye for those things." Eden looked around her flower field. The place had been built through her sacrifices, her work, and her determination. "Mom," she replied calmly, "this farm is not a family project. But you are welcome to attend as my guests." The day before the celebration, Eden and Alice prepared the field. They hung lights between wooden posts and arranged long tables among the flowers. The deep red blooms from Ophelia's special bulbs filled the space with color. Eden looked around and remembered the birthday party she had once planned at 18. The same lights. The same dream. But this time, everything was different. This celebration was not built on hope that others would choose her. It was built on everything she had created herself. Alice watched her quietly. "You realize you finally made the moment you wanted years ago," she said. Eden smiled. "Yes. But I think I wanted the wrong people to give it to me." When Ophelia's birthday arrived, the entire family came to the farm. Eden watched them walk through the entrance and see everything she had built. Her mother looked around proudly, already speaking like she had always supported Eden. "We always knew she had talent," she told relatives. Eden heard the words but did not react. The flowers did not need her to defend them. The truth was already standing in front of everyone. Olive arrived late and walked through the field quietly. She stopped when she saw the wooden sign with Eden's name. For several moments, she simply stared at it. She was looking at a life that had been built while everyone else was focused on protecting her. During the celebration, Ophelia stood to give a speech. She looked across the field and smiled. "For 80 years, I have seen many things grow," she said. "But this field is the most special because it was created by someone who was almost convinced she did not matter." Everyone became quiet. Ophelia held one of the red flowers in her hand. "These flowers have been passed down through generations. Today, I am naming them after the person who protected them and gave them a new home." She looked directly at Eden. "These will always be known as Eden's crimson blooms." The family applauded. Eden stood there feeling something she had never allowed herself to feel before. She belonged. Then Eden's mother stood up holding a glass. She smiled at everyone. "And we have another announcement," she said. "Since this farm has become so successful, Olive will now help manage events here. The two sisters will work together, and we are so proud of both our girls." The room became quiet. Eden looked at her mother and realized nothing had changed. Even after everything, her mother was still trying to rewrite the story. Before anyone could respond, Olive suddenly stood up. Her hands were shaking. "That's not true," she said. Everyone turned toward her. Olive looked around the field with tears in her eyes. "None of this is true." She finally revealed what had happened years earlier. She admitted the birthday party was cancelled because of her, and the money used for her program had come from Eden's savings. "She built this alone," Olive said. "While everyone was protecting me, nobody protected her." The field became silent as the truth finally came into the open. And for the first time, Eden did not have to explain herself. The truth had finally spoken for her. If you've always been the strong one in your family, the one who carried everyone else's burdens, I hope this year you build something that belongs only to you and proudly stand where your growth can be seen. Share in the comments what you would have said if you were standing in that field. And if Eden's journey touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to Abuel Folktales for more powerful stories.